Hey guys, tonight we're stepping softly into feudal Japan, the year 1580, somewhere in the quiet hills of central Honshu. No battles, no politics, just one peaceful spring day in the life of a middle-ranking samurai household. The cherry blossoms are falling like slow snow, the air smells of green tea and pine, and everything moves at the speed of breath. Dim the lights, maybe pull a blanket up, and let the world outside wait for a little while. This one's gentle all the way through. Let's begin. It is the year 1580, somewhere in the quiet hills of central Honshu. The night is still deep, the kind of deep that feels like dark water all around the house. Outside, only the faintest line of indigo has begun to appear above the eastern ridge. Inside, everything is perfectly still. You're lying on a soft futon that smells gently of tatami and last year's sun-dried straw. The quilt over you is light silk filled with new cotton, cool against your skin at first, then slowly warming. There is no mattress spring, no creaking bed frame, only the faint rustle of fabric when you breathe. Listen. Far away, a single guisu, a Japanese nightingale, gives one low call, then falls silent again. That is the first sound of the morning. Nothing else moves. The house itself seems to be holding its breath. Your eyes open slowly. The room is almost completely dark, but you know every shape by heart. The low wooden ceiling beams above you. The pale squares of the shoji screens that separate this sleeping room from the veranda. The small alcove where a single scroll hangs. Simple, black ink mountains, and one quiet line of poetry you've read 1,000 times. You lie still for a long moment, letting the night finish its work. There is no hurry. Dawn in this house never rushes anyone. Eventually you push the quilt aside with the softest movement, the way your mother taught you when you were 5. The air touches your skin, cool, almost cold, carrying the faint scent of last night's incense that still lingers in the tatami. You sit up without a sound. The floorboards do not creak. They were planed and fitted by a master carpenter 20 years ago, and they have learned silence. Your yukata is folded neatly at the foot of the futon, exactly where you left it. You slip your arms into the sleeves, tie the narrow belt with a single quiet knot, and feel the cotton settle against your shoulders like an old friend. Everything is soft. Everything is familiar. Everything is waiting for you to begin the day the same way it has begun for generations. Now the folding begins. First the quilt, corners brought together, edges smoothed with the side of your hand, rolled gently into a perfect rectangle. Then the futon itself, folded once, twice, 3 times, until it becomes a neat square that will spend the day resting against the wall, letting the tatami breathe. There is a rhythm to it, slow and deliberate, almost like a prayer without words. Each fold is an act of respect to the house, to the night that has just passed, to the day that is coming. When the bedding is put away, the room feels larger. The tatami glows faintly in the almost dark, pale green gold, smelling of summer even though it is only early spring. You kneel for a moment, palms resting on your thighs, and let the silence settle back around you. This is the quietest minute of the entire day, and it belongs only to you. From the next room comes the softest sound, your wife, or perhaps your mother, moving with the same care, a futon being folded, a quilt whispering into place. No one speaks yet. Words are still too heavy for this hour. You slide the inner shoji open just a finger's width. A blade of cold night air slips in, carrying the scent of pine and distant cherry blossoms that opened yesterday. Through the gap you can see the garden. The stone lantern still wearing its little hat of overnight dew, the young maple leaves hanging like dark coins, the koi pond perfectly still, reflecting the first hint of indigo sky. Somewhere far down the valley a temple bell gives one low lingering note. It travels slowly across the rice fields, across the cedar forests, until it reaches the house and passes through your chest like warm water. That single bell is the only clock you need. It says, "The night has done its work. It is time." You rise to your feet in one smooth motion. No hurry, no wasted movement. The tatami is cool beneath your soles, then warmer where the futon was. You pause at the threshold, letting your eyes adjust to the deeper dark of the corridor. Every wooden board knows your weight. None of them complain. In the distance, the uguisu calls again. 3 soft notes this time, as if encouraging the world to wake gently. You smile without meaning to. The house is still asleep, but it's beginning to remember that it is alive. You step forward, barefoot, into the corridor. The air here is cooler, carrying the faint sweetness of the charcoal that died hours ago in the Aurori hearth. Your hand brushes the polished cypress pillar as you pass, smooth as river stone, smelling faintly of beeswax and thyme. Ahead, the engawa, the narrow veranda, waits, open to the garden on one side, sheltered by the eaves on the other. You can already feel the promise of the coming light on your face, soft and new, the way dawn has felt in this valley for 1,000 years. The day has not yet begun, but it is almost here. And for now, in this last pocket of darkness, everything is perfect. Take one more slow breath. Let it out even slower. The night is folding itself away, the way you just folded the futon, and the house, the garden, the whole quiet valley is ready to greet the first pale light with you. When you are ready, we will step together into the garden where the cold water is already waiting. You step onto the engawa. The wooden boards are cool and smooth beneath your bare feet, worn satin soft by generations of quiet footsteps. A thin layer of overnight dew clings to the edge where the roof no longer protects. Your soles leave faint temporary prints that vanish almost as quickly as they appear. The garden is waiting exactly as it waited yesterday and the day before and the day before that. In front of you, a small stone path, 3 flat stepping stones, leads to the chosubachi, the purification basin. The stones are dark with dew, edged in pale green moss that never quite dries even in summer. You walk slowly, deliberately, feeling each stone accept your weight and then release it. There is no hurry. The day is still stretching, still deciding what shape it will take. The chosubachi itself is old granite, hollowed by centuries of hands and water. A slender bamboo ladle rests across the top, handle balanced perfectly, filled overnight by the youngest member of the household, an unspoken duty passed down like the colour of your eyes. The water inside is perfectly still, reflecting the indigo sky and the first faint blush of rose on the eastern ridge. You kneel. The air is cold enough that your breath becomes a small white cloud, rising and disappearing like a spirit that has nothing left to say. You take the ladle in your right hand. The bamboo is cool, almost icy, but it warms quickly against your palm. First scoop. You pour the water slowly over your left hand. It is colder than you expect, always colder, drawn from the mountain spring before dawn. The shock of it travels up your arm like a quiet bell, waking every vein. You let the water run between your fingers, over your wrist, down to the elbow, then drip from there onto the stones below. The sound is soft, intimate, like rain remembered from childhood. Second scoop. Now, the right hand. Same slow pour, same sharp clarity. The cold is no longer a surprise. It is a friend who arrives every morning to remind you that you are alive, that the night did not claim you, that the day is a gift. Third scoop. You bring the ladle to your lips and rinse your mouth. Just a small sip, cool and mineral sweet, tasting of stone and moss and distant snow. You let it fall from the corner of your mouth in a thin stream, cleansing inside and out. Then you tilt the ladle upright so the last drops run down the handle, purifying it for the next person. You set the ladle back exactly as you found it, handle pointing left, bowl facing the sky. Everything in its place, everything quiet. Now you simply kneel and wait. This is the moment the world begins again. Behind you, the house is still asleep, but the shoji along the veranda have begun to glow, the very faintest mother of pearl. In front of you, the garden is slowly revealing itself. The young cherry trees that line the far wall are black silhouettes one moment, then suddenly edged in soft rose as the first true light touches their buds. Single petal loosens and drifts down, turning over once, twice before it lands on the surface of the chozubachi and floats there like a tiny boat. Far away, the temple bell sounds again, one low, lingering note that seems to come from the mountains themselves. Closer, a pair of white eyes begin their morning conversation in the bamboo grove. Soft chi-chi-chi, barely louder than breathing. You feel the cold on your wet hands begin to fade, replaced by a gentle warmth that starts in your palms and spreads outward. The water has done its work. You are clean, inside and out, ready for whatever the day may ask of you. You rise slowly. The stones are slick now with the water you have poured, shining like dark mirrors. You step back along the same 3 stones, feeling the garden accept your weight again. At the edge of the Engawa you pause and turn once more to face the east. The sky has changed. What was indigo is now the palest blush of Sakura Iro, that delicate pink that exists only at dawn in spring. The ridge above the valley is outlined in gold so soft it hurts to look at directly. Clouds, long, thin, brushed across the sky like sumiyi ink, catch the light and turn rose, then peach, then the colour of a crane's wing. A breeze moves through the garden, the first real breeze of the day. It lifts the cherry petals in a slow swirl, carries the scent of wet earth and new leaves, brushes your cheek like a child's hand. You close your eyes for a moment and simply breathe it in. When you open them again, the sun has cleared the ridge. Not the full sun yet, just the very top, a burning coin balanced on the mountain's edge. But it is enough. Light spills down the slope, touches the tiled roof of your house, slides across the garden, finds the surface of the koi pond and turns it into molten gold. The fish, deep orange, white, black spotted, rise lazily to the surface, mouths opening and closing as if greeting the day. Everything is awake now, yet nothing is hurried. From inside the house comes the faintest sound, your wife, or perhaps the old housekeeper sliding open the kitchen shoji. Soon there will be the soft clink of an iron kettle, the smell of charcoal catching, the quiet rhythm of rice being washed. But not yet. For one more breath, the world belongs only to the light, and the silence, and the cold water still drying on your hands. You bow once, not deeply, just enough to acknowledge the morning, the mountain, the cherry trees, the unseen ancestors who stood on this same spot 100 springs ago. Then you turn, step back onto the Engawa, and let the day begin its gentle unfolding. The water has made you clean, the light has made you new, and somewhere inside the house, the kettle is just beginning to sing its low, welcoming song. When you are ready, we will follow that sound to the hearth, where the first bowl of tea is waiting. You follow the faint song of the kettle. It is not loud, only a low, steady hum that travels through the wooden corridors like a sleepy river. Each step you take on the polished cypress floor is soft, deliberate, almost soundless. The house is waking now, but it wakes the way a cat does, slowly, without announcement. You slide open the shoji to the small tea room that also serves as the family dining space. The room is still dim, lit only by the soft grey-blue light that comes before true sunrise. In the centre, the aurori, the sunken hearth, has been raked clean overnight. Fresh charcoal, 3 pieces of white binchatan, glows the colour of distant moons beneath a layer of pale ash. Above it, the old iron kettle hangs from an adjustable jizai kagi hook, swaying almost imperceptibly, breathing steam that smells faintly of cedar and mountain water. Your wife is already there. She kneels gracefully beside the hearth, movements quiet and sure, the way water moves over smooth stones. She wears a simple indigo yukata, sleeves tied back with a soft Tasuki cord, hair still loose from sleep but already shining. She does not look up yet, but the corner of her mouth lifts in the smallest welcome. No words. Words are still too heavy for this hour. On the low lacquered table, everything is ready. A single deep green matcha bowl rests on a square of pale silk. Beside it, the chasen, bamboo whisk, and chashaku, bamboo scoop, lie side by side like sleeping birds. A small kettle of hotter water waits on a trivet of woven bamboo. The air smells of charcoal, steam, and the faint sweetness of last night's rice that has been kept warm under a padded cloth. You kneel opposite her. The tatami sighs gently beneath your knees. You sit Caesar, perfectly upright, calm, hands resting lightly on your thighs. For a long moment, nothing happens. Only the soft pop of charcoal, the distant drip of water from the garden, the slow breathing of 2 people who have shared this same silence for 20 springs. She lifts the lid of the natsume, the lacquered tea caddy. The scent of fresh matcha rises, bright, grassy, alive, like walking through a tea field at dawn. She scoops 2 gentle mounds of emerald powder into the bowl. The chashaku makes the softest tap-tap against the rim, a sound like rain on bamboo. She pours hot water, not boiling, just shy of it, in a thin, steady stream. Steam curls upward, catching the first true ray of sunlight that has slipped through the shoji and now paints a golden stripe across the tatami. She sets the kettle down with both hands, reverent, as though it were a child. Then the whisking begins. Her wrist moves in slow, perfect circles. No hurry, no splash. The chasen sings its quiet song, shoo-shoo-shoo-shoo, steady as a heartbeat. Foam rises, thick and pale jade, until the surface is covered in the finest froth. She turns the bowl twice, so the most beautiful side faces you, then slides it across the table with both hands. You receive it the same way, both hands, a slight bow of thanks. The bowl is warm, almost hot against your palms. You turn it twice more, clockwise the proper way, then lift it to your lips. First sip. The tea is thick, slightly bitter at the edges, then suddenly sweet and deep, like spring itself poured into liquid form. It coats your tongue, slides down your throat, and settles in your chest like a small green flame. You close your eyes for a moment and simply feel it travel through you, waking every quiet corner of your body. You take 2 more slow sips, then place the bowl back exactly where it began. She receives it, wipes the rim with a folded silk cloth in one gentle motion, and the ceremony is complete. No one has spoken. No one needed to. Now, the meal itself. From the kitchen comes the soft shuffle of the old housekeeper carrying a lacquered tray. She sets it down between you with the same reverence. A small wooden bowl of perfectly steamed white rice, still faintly smoking, grains shining like tiny pearls, a bowl of miso soup the colour of sunrise, 2 pieces of wakame floating lazily, a single cube of silken tofu resting at the bottom, 1 small grilled ayu fish, river sweetfish, split and fanned on a cedar leaf, skin crisp and golden, flesh pale and fragrant, a dish of takenoko, spring bamboo shoots, simmered in light dashi, tender enough to cut with a glance, a tiny dish of bright green sansho leaves and a pinch of salt for the fish. Everything is arranged with quiet beauty, colours soft and balanced, portions small enough that nothing feels heavy. You lift your hashi. The first bite is rice, plain, warm, tasting faintly of the cedar it was steamed over. It is perfect. The second is a piece of ayu dipped lightly in salt. The skin crackles softly between your teeth, the flesh sweet and clean. The miso follows, sipped straight from the bowl, warming you all the way down. You eat in silence, the way you have every morning for years. The only sounds are the gentle clink of bowl against lacquer, the soft breath between bites, the distant song of a bush warbler that has decided the day is officially here. Outside, the sun has fully cleared the ridge now. Golden light pours across the veranda, turns the steam from your tea into tiny rainbows, paints the cherry trees in full colour. Petals begin to fall in earnest, slow, weightless, endless, drifting past the open shoji like pink snow that melts before it touches the ground. Your wife refills your tea bowl once more, this time thinner, paler, almost a whisper of green. You drink it slowly, feeling the morning settle into your bones like warm water into sand. When the meal is finished, the bowls are empty and shining. She gathers them onto the tray with the same quiet grace, bows once, barely a dip of the head, and carries them away. The hearth settles back into gentle embers. The kettle gives one last soft sigh and falls silent. You remain kneeling a moment longer. The room smells of tea, rice, charcoal, and cherry blossom carried of the breeze. Your stomach is warm, your mind clear, your heart quiet. The day has truly begun, but it has begun gently. No demands, no noise, only the soft certainty that everything is in its place. You rise, stretch once, slowly, feeling each joint greet the morning, and step toward the open shoji. The garden is waiting, bright and new. The village paths are calling, soft with dew. The mountains are wearing their pale spring mist like silk scarves. You are ready. When you feel the warmth of the sun on your face, we will walk together down the earthen lane, where the village is just beginning to stir. You step down from the engawa onto the packed earth path that leads away from the house. The soil is still cool and slightly damp beneath your bare feet. Overnight dew has soaked in just enough to make every footstep feel like a quiet greeting to the ground. A narrow line of pale gravel runs along the edge of the path, raked smooth yesterday by the children, and tiny dewdrops sit on each stone like perfect glass beads. The air has changed. It is no longer the sharp cold of dawn. It is soft, almost sweet, carrying the scent of wet cedar, young rice shoots, and the faint smoke of breakfast fires beginning to rise from thatched roofs. You walk slowly. There is no need to hurry. The village wakes the way a flower opens, one petal at a time, gently in its own time. To your left, the rice paddies stretch away in perfect silver mirrors, each square of water reflecting the pale morning sky. A farmer, old Jiro-san, bent but tireless. is already kneeling at the edge of his plot, planting the first tender seedlings with the same motion his grandfather taught him. He does not look up, but when you pass, he lifts one muddy hand in the smallest wave. You bow slightly in return, barely a nod. Enough. Ahead, the path curves between two plum trees still wearing their pale pink blossoms. Petals drift down as you walk beneath them, brushing your shoulder, catching for a moment in your hair before letting go. One lands on the back of your hand and rests there, cool and impossibly light. The village itself is only 20 households scattered along the valley floor, each roof thatched with golden kaya grass, each garden walled by low bamboo fences no higher than your knee. Smoke rises in thin, straight columns from every kitchen, curling once, then disappearing into the soft blue above. A small child, barefoot, hair still tousled from sleep, is chasing a black and white cat along the path. When she sees you, she stops, presses her tiny hands together, and bows so deeply her forehead almost touches her knees. You smile, the first open smile of the day, and bow back just as deeply. She giggles once, a sound like water over stones, then runs off again, the cat trotting behind as if it too understands courtesy. Further on, old Onatsu is airing futons on a bamboo pole outside her gate. The quilts are heavy with the night's coolness. She beats them gently with a bamboo beater. Tap, 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 in perfect rhythm. When she sees you, she pauses, bows, and says in her soft mountain voice, "Ohayo gozaimasu." You return the greeting, and for a moment the only sound is the breeze moving through the plum blossoms and the distant lowing of a cow waking in its shed. You pass the village well. It is an old stone ring, moss-covered, with a wooden bucket hanging from a bamboo pole balanced on a forked post. Two women are drawing water, one young, one old, moving in quiet harmony. The bucket rises and falls, water glinting like liquid sunlight as it spills into their cedar tubs. They bow as you pass, and you bow in return, the ritual so natural it feels like breathing. The path widens where it meets the main lane. Here the earth is packed hard by generations of feet and ox carts. On either side, low wooden houses sit shoulder to shoulder, their eaves almost touching, creating cool tunnels of shade. Paper shoji glow from within. Somewhere a baby cries once, then is hushed. A dog, small brown, tail curled like a fern, trots alongside you for a few steps, then thinks better of it and disappears beneath a gate. You can smell breakfast everywhere now. Miso, grilled fish, the faint sweetness of steaming rice, wood smoke, and beneath it all the clean, wet smell of the river that runs along the valley's edge. The river is still half hidden in morning mist, but you can hear it, a low, constant murmur, like the valley itself talking in its sleep. At the little bridge, 3 cedar planks laid across stones, you pause. The water below is perfectly clear, sliding over rounded river stones the colour of smoke and jade. Tiny fish, no longer than your finger, dart in and out of the sunlight. On the far bank, a white egret stands on one leg, motionless, waiting for the world to forget it is there. You stand for a long moment. The mist is beginning to lift, revealing more of the valley. Terraced paddies climbing the lower slopes, cedar forest dark and still higher up, and far above everything the pale blue-grey peaks that watch over the village, the way grandfathers watch over children. A soft clapper sounds from the small temple just ahead. 2 pieces of bamboo struck together by the monk's assistant to chase away evil spirits before the day truly begins. Clack, clack. The sound travels down the lane, gentle but clear, and every house seems to breathe in answer. You step onto the bridge. The planks creak once, a friendly, familiar sound. Then hold your weight without complaint. Halfway across, you stop again. Below you, the water reflects the sky, the plum blossoms that have fallen in the night, and for just a second, your own face, calm, unhurried, touched by the same soft light that touches everything else. You feel the village all around you, not as houses or people, but as one living thing, slow and warm and ancient. It has woken gently, the way it always does, and it has made room for you inside its morning. The egret lifts off with the slow beat of wings, white against the pale sky, and glides downstream. You watch it go, then continue across the bridge. Ahead the path climbs a little, winding between azalea bushes just beginning to show pink buds. At the top of the rise stands the small mountain shrine, red torii gate half covered in moss, stone steps worn smooth by centuries of quiet feet. The day is fully light now, but still soft, still new. You walk toward the shrine at the same unhurried pace, feeling the gentle warmth of the sun on your back, the cool earth beneath your feet, the faint scent of incense already drifting down to meet you. The village has greeted you, and you have greeted it back. Everything is in its place. When you are ready, we will climb those old stone steps together, slowly, one breath at a time, and let the mountain shrine hold us for a little while. The stone steps begin just beyond the last house. They are old, very old, each one worn into a shallow curve by generations of feet, climbing in straw sandals or bare soles. Moss grows thick and velvet soft along the edges, bright emerald after the night's dew. You place your foot on the first step and feel the cool, damp stone accept your weight without a sound. There are 47 steps. You know this because you have counted them since childhood, the way other people count prayer beads. 1, 2, 3. With each step the village falls away a little more. The thatched roofs shrink to toy houses. The smoke from breakfast fires becomes pale ribbons. The river turns into a silver thread winding through the green. By the 10th step you can no longer hear the clapper or the voices of the women at the well. Only the breeze in the cedars and the soft thud of your own heart remain. 11, 12, 13. The air changes. It is cooler here, cleaner, carrying the scent of ancient cedar bark and wet stone. A single camellia blossom, deep red, perfect, has fallen onto the 15th step. You pause, bow slightly to it, and step around so as not to crush it. 20, 21, 22. The torii gate appears. It is small, no taller than your shoulder, painted a soft vermilion that has faded over decades to the colour of dried rose petals. Green moss creeps up the pillars like slow lace. You stop beneath it, close your eyes for one breath, and feel the invisible boundary you've just crossed, the line between the village of people and the mountain of spirits. Beyond the gate, the path levels into a clearing no wider than your house. In the centre stands the honden, the tiny shrine itself, made of unvarnished hinoki cypress gone silver with age. Its roof is covered in thick iris moss, and 2 stone foxes, kitsune, sit on either side of the steps, heads tilted, mouths open in eternal smiles. One has a mossy green bib tied around its neck. Someone replaced it last month. To the left is the chozubachi of the shrine, smaller than the one at home, fed by a bamboo pipe that drips mountain water day and night. The sound is constant, gentle, drip, 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 like a slow wooden heartbeat. You approach the water basin first. The ladle here is older, dark with years of hands. You lift it, pour once over your left hand, once over your right, rinse your mouth, Let the last drops run down the handle. The water is so cold it feels almost warm, the way only mountain spring water can. Then you walk to the offering box, a simple wooden box with a slatted lid. You reach into your sleeve and take out one copper coin, a single mon worn smooth. You place it through the slot. It falls with a soft, satisfying clink that echoes inside the empty box like a small bell. Now the bell itself. A thick hemp rope hangs from the eaves, ending in a faded red tassel. You take it in both hands, bow twice, deep, slow, clap twice. The sound sharp and clean in the morning stillness. Bow once more, deeper this time, forehead almost touching your knees. Then you pull the rope. The bronze bell answers with one low round note that seems to come from the mountain itself. It rolls outward, through the cedar branches, down the valley, across the rice fields, until it fades into silence so complete you can hear the camellia petal land on stone. You stand quietly. There is no prayer you need to speak aloud. The mountain already knows your name, your family's name, the names of your children not yet born. You simply breathe with the cedars, letting the cool air fill you, and leave you, and fill you again. A white eye lands on the offering box, tilts its head, decides you are harmless, and flits away. Sunlight begins to pour over the ridge behind the shrine. Not the full sun yet, just a gentle wash of gold that turns every droplet on the moss into a tiny star. The stone foxes glow. The cypress roof glows. The whole clearing is suddenly bathed in the softest light you've ever seen, as though the mountain itself has decided to smile. You stay a little longer. There is a flat stone beside the honden where people sometimes sit. You lower yourself onto it slowly. The stone is warm already, holding yesterday's sun for you. From here you can see the entire valley spread out below, like a painting someone has just unrolled. The village roofs golden in the new light, the river catching fire, the rice paddies shimmering, and far in the distance the faint blue line of the inland sea. You sit without moving. A beetle crawls across the stone in front of you, pauses, cleans its antennae, continues on its way. Somewhere high above, a hawk circles once and is gone. The bamboo pipe drips, drips, drips. Time loosens. Minutes feel like hours. Hours feel like the length of one slow breath. You're not thinking of the day ahead, or the training ground, or the letters waiting on your desk. You are simply here, held gently between earth and sky, between the village you came from and the mountain that has always been here. Eventually, though you could stay forever, you feel the moment, arrive to leave. You stand, bow once more to the shrine, once to the foxes, once to the cedars. Then you turn and begin the descent. The steps feel different going down, lighter as though the mountain has given something back to you. The camellia blossom is still on the 15th step, untouched. You step around it again. When you reach the bottom, the village has fully woken. Smoke rises straight and thin. A rooster crows somewhere near the bridge. Children's voices drift up the path, bright and quick. You pause beneath the plum trees one last time, letting the morning settle into your bones like warm tea. The shrine has done its work. You are clean, you are quiet, you are ready. When you are ready, we will walk together to the training ground, where the cypress floor is already waiting in soft spring light. The path from the shrine leads you gently downhill, past the last of the village roofs, then along a narrow track bordered by young bamboo that clicks softly in the breeze. 10 minutes of quiet walking, no hurry, the sun now fully above the ridge and warm on the back of your neck, and you arrive at the dojo. It is not grand. only a single, long building of dark cypress, roofed in cedar shingles gone silver with age, set alone in a clearing of raked white gravel. Cherry trees, older here, gnarled and heavy with blossom, stand at each corner like silent guardians. A low wooden fence no higher than your waist marks the boundary between the ordinary world and this one. You pause at the gate. 2 stone lanterns, moss-covered and unlit, flank the entrance. You bow once, not deeply, just enough to acknowledge the place and the many mornings it has held you. Then you step out of your straw sandals and leave them neatly side by side on the stone step. Inside, the air is cool and smells of cypress, wax, and the faint trace of yesterday's sweat. The floor, wide hinoki planks polished by bare feet and cotton cloth for 100 years, glows the colour of pale honey in the morning light that pours through the open shoji along the eastern wall. Dust motes drift slowly in the golden beams like tiny slow fish. You are alone. The others will come later, your younger brother, the 2 retainers, perhaps the son of the headman who's allowed to watch. But this first hour belongs to you and the sword. You walk to the centre of the room and kneel. Your katana and wakizashi rest on a plain wooden stand, blades sheathed, handles turned toward you, exactly as you left them yesterday. The sajeo cords are tied in perfect knots. The silk of the suka-ito is still warm from the night wrapped in oiled cloth. You bow to the swords, deep, slow, forehead almost touching the floor, then rise and lift the katana with both hands. The scabbard is cool, lacquered black. Simple, no ornament. You slide the blade free with the softest breath of steel on wood. Shing, a sound like a crane taking flight. The hamon, the temper line, catches the light and flashes. Once, a ripple of frozen waves along the edge. You turn the blade slowly, checking for even the smallest speck, finding none. It is perfect, the way it always is when you care for it properly. You step into the centre of the floor. The planks are warm beneath your bare feet now, sun-soaked and smooth as river stones. You settle into Caesar for one more breath, feeling the room settle around you. The faint creak of old wood, the soft rustle of cherry petals blowing in through the open wall and landing on the floor like pink snow. Then you rise and take your stance, feet placed exactly, left heel in line with the right toes, knees relaxed, hips centered. The sword rises slowly above your head, Hasuji perfectly aligned with your spine, Kisaki pointing to the sky. For a moment you're completely still, like a heron waiting for a fish. Then the first kata begins. It is not fast. It is never fast in the morning. The cut comes down in one long, unhurried arc, from the crown of the sky to the earth, the blade singing its low, pure note as it parts the air. Your breath leaves on the cut, slow and controlled, until the blade stops exactly where it should, an inch above the floor. You hold the position, 1 heartbeat, 2, feeling the line of energy travel from the soles of your feet through your hips, through your shoulders, out along the steel, then the turn. You pivot on the ball of your left foot, body low, sword rising again in a perfect circle, and the second cut follows, horizontal this time, clean and level as the horizon. Again the soft song of steel, again the slow exhale. You move through the forms the way a river moves through its channel. No rush, no wasted motion, every angle exact. Overhead block, diagonal cut, thrust, reverse cut, each one flowing into the next like ink strokes on wet paper. Your shadow on the wall is huge and graceful, moving with you, never ahead, never behind. 10 minutes become 20. Sweat begins at your hairline, cool at first, then warm. Your breathing deepens but never breaks rhythm. The only sounds are the soft thud of bare feet on wood, the whisper of the blade, the occasional petal landing on the floor with a sound like a sigh. Sunlight creeps across the dojo, inch by inch, painting the planks gold, then amber. A single cherry petal drifts in on the breeze, circles once in the still air, and comes to rest on the back of your hand as you complete a long downward cut. You pause, smile faintly, and let it stay there for the rest of the kata. When the final form is complete, you lower the sword slowly until the kisaki touches the floor in front of you. You remain perfectly still for 7 slow breaths, feeling the energy settle back into the earth. Then you kneel again. Clean the blade with the square of the softest rice paper, one gentle stroke from base to tip, folding the paper after each pass until it is spotless. You oil the steel with 2 drops of choji oil that smell of clove and camellia. Slide the blade home with the same soft breath it left, and bow once more, deeper this time, forehead touching the floor in gratitude. The room is warmer now. The cherry trees outside have begun to rain petals in earnest. They slide across the open doorway and lie scattered across the honey-coloured floor like pale pink offerings. You sit Caesar a moment longer, letting your breath return to quiet. The sword rests on its stand again, calm and waiting for tomorrow. Your body feels open, light, strong, without tension. Your mind is the surface of a still pond, no ripples, no dust. From the village path comes the faint sound of voices, your brother and the others approaching for their turn. But for now, the dojo is still yours, still holding the echo of your breath and the soft song of steel. You rise, bow once to the room itself, and step back into your sandals. The morning is fully yours now, clean, quiet, strong. When you are ready, we will walk home together through the blossom rain, to the cool shade of the Engawa and the gentle rest that waits in the middle of the day. The walk home is shorter now, because the sun has climbed high enough to shorten every shadow. Cherry petals follow you like a lazy escort drifting from the branches overhead and settling on the path in soft pink patches. The air has warmed. It carries the smell of sun-baked pine needles and the distant sweetness of someone's early azalea hedge. When you slide open the gate, the house greets you with its familiar quiet breath. The shoji along the veranda are half open, letting light and breeze move through the rooms like gentle guests. Your wife is on the Engawa, folding the last of the morning laundry. Small yukata the colour of duck egg blue, smelling of sunshine and plum blossom water. She looks up, bows her head slightly, and the day feels complete. Lunch is light and waiting. A low table has been moved to the coolest corner of the main room, cold soba noodles coiled neatly in a woven bamboo basket, a dipping sauce of dashi, soy, and grated daikon that carries the faint sharpness of early wasabi, a few slices of takenoko still warm from the morning simmer, and a tiny dish of firefly squid pickled in cedar vinegar. Everything is cool, clean, simple. You eat slowly, knees relaxed on a cushion, the only sound the soft dip of noodles into sauce and the occasional clink of porcelain. When the last strand is finished, a single umeboshi plum is placed in the empty bowl, bright red, salt and sun preserved, and you eat it in one bite, feeling the sour-sweet burst wake your tongue like a small firework. Afterwards, the house settles into its afternoon hush. You move to the small study that faces the garden. The tatami here smells especially of summer straw. A single shaft of sunlight falls across the low writing desk, warming the inkstone. You sit, open a scroll of plain paper, and let the brush rest in your hand for a long moment. Today, there is no need for letters or accounts. You simply write one line, slow deliberate strokes. Cherry blossoms fall, yet the branch does not grieve. You let the ink dry, roll the scroll gently and set it aside. The day has reached its softest point. You slide the shoji fully open, lie down on a thin summer futon already spread in the coolest corner, and pull a light yukata over you like a cloud. The breeze moves across your face, carrying the sound of cicadas just beginning their first sleepy rasps of the season. Your eyes close without effort. The house breathes with you. In, out, in, out. Sleep comes the way cherry petals fall. Quietly, inevitably, beautifully. You drift for an hour, maybe 2. Dreams are gentle. Fragments of morning light on water, the faint echo of a temple bell, the brush of a petal on your cheek. When you wake, the light has shifted to that perfect late afternoon gold that makes everything look like it belongs in a painting. The cicadas are fully awake now, singing in warm waves. You sit up slowly, stretch once, arms high, back arching like a cat, and feel the day settle back into your bones, rested and clear. Evening preparations begin without rush. You rise and walk to the armour room, a small space smelling of camellia oil and old leather. Your domaru, the light practice armour, hangs on its stand, lacquered plates the colour of midnight, silk cords still perfectly tied. You lift each piece with both hands, check the cords, run a soft cloth along the surface to remove the day's dust. Everything is in order, as it always is. Then the swords. You sit Caesar before the stand, lift the katana, and draw it halfway, just enough to see the hamon catch the lamplight in a liquid ripple. You breathe on the steel once, wipe it with fresh rice paper, add the tiniest drop of choji oil, and slide it home with the softest sigh. The wakizashi follows, smaller, quieter, but treated with the same reverence. When both blades are back in their scabbards, you bow once, deep, grateful, and the day's duty to them is complete. From the kitchen comes the gentle scent of charcoal catching again, the faint bubble of rice beginning its evening steam. Your wife's voice, soft as falling water, calls that the bath is ready. The wooden furrow is small, cedar-lined, filled with water heated over the aurori all afternoon. Steam rises in slow curls, carrying the scent of hinoki and a handful of yuzu peels floating on the surface. You step in, let the heat unfold every muscle the morning training tightened, and sit with only your head above water, eyes half closed, watching the steam drift toward the open window where the first fireflies of the year are beginning to blink. When you emerge, skin pink and loose, a fresh yukata waits, pale hemp, the colour of moonlight on water. You tie it loosely, run a comb once through your hair, and step back into the main room. The house has begun its evening glow. One by one andon lanterns are lit, paper shades, painted with faint cranes, wicks trimmed short so the flame is small and steady. The light is warm, orange gold, turning the tatami into pools of honey. Outside, the cherry trees have become dark silhouettes against a sky the colour of kingfisher wings. Dinner will be simple tonight. Clear soup with nameko mushrooms, grilled trout from the mountain stream, a small dish of wild sansai greens dressed with sesame, and rice so perfectly cooked each grain shines. You sit, hands resting on your knees, and wait for the bowls to be placed before you. The day has been long, but it has been gentle. When the last light fades and the lanterns are fully lit, we will step outside together one more time, to let the night settle around us like cool silk. The last bowl is empty. The taste of clear mushroom broth and mountain trout still lingers softly on your tongue. Your wife lifts the lacquered trays with the same quiet grace she used this morning, bows once, barely a breath, and carries them away. The house settles into its deepest hush of the day. You rise and walk to the Engawa. The sun has slipped behind the western ridge. The sky's the colour of a dove's wing, soft indigo fading to pale rose at the edges. The first bats are already flitting between the cherry trees, silent shadows against the last light. Fireflies, just a handful tonight, drift above the koi pond like tiny wandering lanterns. One by one, the andon inside the house are turned low. The paper shades glow warm orange, painting soft circles on the tatami and the wooden pillars. The old housekeeper moves from room to room, trimming each wick so the flame becomes a quiet heartbeat rather than a shout. When she finishes, she bows toward the family altar. 2 candles there still burn steadily for the ancestors, then disappears into the kitchen to bank the coals for tomorrow. You remain on the Engawa. The air has cooled perfectly, no longer the warmth of day, not yet the chill of true night. It carries the scent of cedar smoke, wet moss from the garden, and the faint sweetness of the last cherry blossoms letting go. A single petal lands on the back of your hand, cool and weightless, then slides away. From the village below comes the soft clanging of the night watchman's wooden clappers. 2 slow beats, pause, 2 more. It is the signal that all is well, that doors may be barred, that the day has been safely folded away. Farther off, a nightingale calls once from the bamboo grove, then falls silent as though satisfied with its own song. Inside, your wife lights the final lantern, the one that hangs just outside your sleeping room. Its paper shade is painted with a single flying crane. The flame turns the bird gold. She opens the last shoji all the way, letting the night breeze move freely through the house. You step inside. The tatami feels warmer now, holding the day's gentle heat. Your futon has already been laid out. 2 laid side by side, quilts of pale silk folded at the foot, like sleeping swans. The scent of fresh aguza straw rises as you kneel and smooth the covers once slowly, the way you have every night for years. You sit for a moment on the edge of the futon. The room is almost dark, lit only by the soft glow of the crane lantern and the very faint silver that begins to spill through the open wall. Moonrise just beginning over the mountain. Outside, the koi pond reflects the first stars. A frog gives one low, contented croak, then another answers from the rice paddies. Your wife kneels beside you. Together you turn toward the small household altar, a simple shelf of hinoki holding a white rice paper gohai, a tiny mirror, and the 2 candles that have burned all evening. You bow once, palms together, no words. The ancestors already know everything the day held. Then the lantern is turned down until only the faintest ember remains. You slip beneath the quilt. The silk is cool at first, then warms instantly to your skin. Your wife settles beside you, the futon sighing softly as it accepts both of you. For a long moment you simply lie still, listening to the house breathe, the faint creak of old wood cooling, the distant drip of the garden water, the almost sound of cherry petals letting go. Overhead, through the open shoji, the sky has become a deep indigo bowl scattered with stars. The moon, 3 days past full, rises slowly above the ridge, silver and perfectly round, turning the garden into a dream of black and white. A firefly drifts in through the open wall, circles the room once, its tiny green light blinking like a slow heartbeat, then drifts out again, as though it only came to say good night. You turn onto your side. The quilt settles around your shoulder like a cloud. Your wife's breathing is already soft and even beside you. The house is completely quiet now, Quiet in the way only very old houses can be. Every board, every joint, every shoji paper has learned the art of silence. Outside, the nightingale sings again, farther away this time, its voice melting into the cedar trees. You feel the day release you. The cold water of dawn, the taste of matcha, the weight of the sword, the warmth of rice, the scent of cherry blossoms. Everything gently unhooks from your mind and drifts away like the petals on the breeze. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to plan, nothing left to carry. The moon pours its cool light across the tatami, across the two sleeping figures, across the whole quiet valley. Somewhere very far off, the temple bell gives one last low note, so soft it might be a dream. You let your breath slow, slow, slow. The night folds itself around you the way the quilt does, gentle, complete, safe. The last thing you feel is the faint brush of a cherry petal that has drifted in and settled on the edge of the futon, cool against your hand. Then even that is gone. The house sleeps, the mountain sleeps, the valley sleeps, and you sleep with them, held in the soft palm of an old kind world that has carried you gently through another perfect day. Good night.